The in-ear monitor market has to be the biggest fucking scam in all of audio. A lot of people already have trouble finding full-sized headphones that sound good, but when it comes to in-ear monitors, it's like insane. You go on all these review sites, and these people are like, oh, these $2,000 in-ears have top-tier resolution, top-tier sound. Oh, these $1,500 in-ear monitors have wonderful, fun sound, the best bass, and they all go on and bullshits about BA timbre, BA details, BA speeds. Oh, it's got 12 drivers, and it's like, it's just embarrassing. It's just all a big scam. Now, I've tried some of the most notable ones on the market. I've tried the Moondrop Blessing 2, I've tried the JVC HA-FDX1 from Drop, and I've tried the Etymotic Research ER4XR, and my God, each of them had such terrible flaws that it's insane. But these, the Sony MH1C, something I got from China for only $20 with shipping, it just blows them all out of the water. I mean, again, these in-ear monitors, the other ones costing between $250 and $320, and these little guys for $20, it not only sounds better than them, it's basically my Endgame. Now, I did originally mention that I did settle on the HD6XX as my Endgame, but I was willing to give these a shot because I did hear great things about them. I think I originally a while back, I did buy the Sony MH750s. This is like another thing that got hyped up a few years back. This one was like a freebie that came with phones. The problem with the Sony MH750s and the 755s, there's a ton of bootlegs, so you really got to find a good seller. But even between the Sony MH750 and the MH1C, I can now say the MH1 is the better one because the MH750 has too much bass, too much sub bass, and it's got too much mid treble, which just makes them sound really, I don't know. I wouldn't quite say they're sibilant, but they do sound a little thin in the mid-range registers because of that. So, I mean, to my ears, the most perfect frequency response. The problem, okay, a lot of people say that the Etymotic Research has like the most neutral monitor sound on the market, and I greatly disagree. Like I was saying in one of the blind test videos, I think a lot of those studio monitor things are just marketing bullshit. The Sony MH1 definitely sounds way more accurate to real studio monitors. My JBL 305P Mark IIs. The problem with the Etymotic Research is that they don't have any treble between, I think, 5 kilohertz and 10 kilohertz. So it really is just like very muted sound. I think the effect of that is that the cymbals sound very like distant. It almost sounds like the cymbals are very far away. And I'm sure there's probably people at the soundstage like, oh, the makes the cymbals farther away. It's like, no, you idiots. It's just that the treble is too quiet, so that the cymbals just sound way too muted in a mix. On these, it basically does sound almost monitor perfect. In fact, I'll actually get to that. The problem with the Blessing 2, just fucking sibilants, like every brainwashed moron on like HeadFi and Reddit and I don't know, all the other usual audiophile shithole hangouts, it's like, everybody just goes on like, it has the best technicalities, it has the best, and it's like, no. And that's the thing, everybody goes on about BAs, BA timbres, balanced armature bullshits. It's like, no. These little tiny 5.8 millimeter drivers, they really do just sound as good. You really can't just extract more detail and resolution from the recording off any different pair of in-ears. It's just a joke. Like, everyone's like, oh, BA timbre, it makes the cymbals cut off too soon. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I've listened to these. I've listened to all these together, and it's like, no, I've never heard like this bullshit where cymbals will just cut off abruptly. You're hearing what you want to hear. It has no basis in any kind of facts. The HA-FDX1, the problem with those is that they have like a really bad hump around 4 kilohertz, and even if you use the blue nozzles that have the most neutral kind of sound, it still has that 4 kilohertz resonance that really does fuck up the sound, and it just has like muted upper mids and just that bad spike. And you gotta figure, those shits are like $250. I paid $250 for mine, and the availability is limited from Drop. I think they're out of stock right now, and it's like, wow, $20 just blows the fuck out of those shitty JVC in-ears. I should also mention that it was almost impossible for me to get a seal with any of the ear tips that came with the FDX1 in the first place. So just like in the KRK KNS6402 video with the measuring tape to measure the sound stage, I had another idea which I'm surprised nobody in the audiophile community has ever thought of before. What I did was I took the HD6XX and I took the Sony MH1C, warm at the same time. I'd put the left driver in one ear, I'd pan the audio so that it only played the right driver, and I played between two different sources on Sinalski's tone generator, normalized at 1000 hertz, and from there, if it was more left or right, that would tell me if it was louder or quieter in the SPL peaks between the two devices. So what I found is that the Sony MH1, despite its rather low price and rather low build quality, it really does have probably the most perfect frequency response you could ask for. Most of the deviations between 5 and 10% louder or quieter, I think the mid-range, the mid-range to the upper mids were basically spot on. I want to say from around 400 hertz to 2000 hertz. This and the HD6XX are perfect. 4 kilohertz is a little louder on these. 5 kilohertz is a little quieter. The problem, I think, is with the 6 kilohertz range. Because of the ear tips, it does cause that ear canal resonance to be much louder on the in-ears than it does on the over-ear headphone. Fortunately, there is a fix for that. You can buy shorter ear tips that were originally made for the what were they called? The Sony. No, the Samsung Galaxy Buds. You can see that the ear tip is a few millimeters shorter, and what that ends up doing is it does tame. It doesn't really seem to change the frequency response except for the ear canal gain. So the 6000 hertz region went from being 30% louder by my measurements to just 10%, and I think the 10 kilohertz region went from being 10% louder to I think 5 to 10% quieter. So that's a pretty interesting note. I did notice that the 7 kilohertz to 9 kilohertz region, it was about 5% quieter on this, I think, and I did measure the difference in the PC. I think 5% quieter does equal to about 2.4 dB. So I don't know, maybe if you want to say it might be a little too muted in the mid-treble region, I don't know. That could just be the effects of the insertion of the in-ear. I don't even know. But unfortunately, the bad thing with the MH1, and this is a known thing, the bass region from about 300 hertz to 20 hertz, it's a little too much. I think in my thing, it was about 20% louder at 100 hertz, and a full fucking, I think, 50% louder on 20 hertz. Actually, 30 hertz. Full 20% louder on 30 hertz. And that is a bit unfortunate. There is a known mod to try to reduce the bass. You can see here, I did apply electrical tape to the vent. Doing that, I think, reduces the bass by about 2 to 3 decibels. Unfortunately, the other requirement for this mod is you got to seal the little thing here, and unfortunately, electrical tape is too loose to seal that. You probably either need either a dedicated heat shrink. Somebody did use some kind of low viscosity polymer to seal this. And if you know that YouTube channel, Olaf's Gadgets, he actually took a glue gun and he hot glued all over his Sony MH1. Back to the subjective impressions. I put on any music, any genre of music, and these sound perfect. Just perfect for anything. And even like the sub-bass rumble, a lot of people are like, oh, it's like, oh, HD6XX, it has no sub-bass, therefore it's bad for EDM. And it's like, I don't know about that, Chief. But when it comes to these, and it is a little boosted, but it does sound very good even for that. You hear the deep rumble of those TR-808 and 909 kicks. Very good quality. Actually, speaking of quality, I might as well talk about the rest of this shit. Unfortunately, the build, like I said, the build quality is not the best. If these were originally sold for $80, that's kind of embarrassment. Look at this floppy, flat fettuccine cable. It's really awkward. The weight's distributed really weird too. But this is the biggest flaw. I'm going to show this to you. It might be, you probably didn't notice this until I showed you, but yeah, does this seem right to you? The way this is all set up? Now, normally you'd think that for this bottom one, you'd have the 3.5mm jack cable coming out of this, and you'd have this coming out of here. But no, it's like reversed. So when you're wearing it, it's just really awkward as shit. It's like, I think they originally did intend for you to wear it behind your ear, but because the flat spaghetti noodle cable, it ends up just twisting around. It pops the things out of my ears prematurely. Ooh, phrasing. And it's just really awkward. If you wear it in front of you, it's really awkward. It's just poking out the side. And if you wear it behind your head, yeah, like I said, it just pops out. No matter where you find it, this cable is awful. And I will say, one of the good things about the MH750, it did fix this cable problem. It did make it more proper. You're still supposed to wear it behind the neck, but it does, because it both comes out of the same end, it's a lot more useful. And you've got like the little inline mic thing here. On this, it's like you wear it right close to your left ear, and it's so awkward. I don't know. So what this ended up happening was, I thought, this, like, if I want this to be my Endgame pair, I want it to last years and years. And I'm thinking, this cable, there's no way in fucking hell this shitty-ass cable is going to last me years. So, fortunately, there is a thing a lot of people do with these budget headphones. They take a drill and they take off the cables and they make a little port for an MMCX connector. Fortunately, I'm not very proficient with tools that I could do this, but I don't have to be. I present to you the MMCX modded Sony MH1, the original with the Sony Ericsson little green jewel logo. Now, somebody on eBay from Russia is selling these for about $50. That's like a $30 upcharge from, I guess, the ones from China. And I gotta say, you are going to want these. Now, I know it kind of breaks the thing with like the budget, the whole budget thing, but if these originally retailed for $80, you gotta figure that's pretty goddamn good anyway. You're saving $30. You're either losing 30 or you're saving 30, depending on your perspective. But I gotta tell you, you're gonna want the better cable version. I've got the ear hooks version because I do prefer it behind the ear. It is much more secure. And you can see I've got the shorter ear tips from the Samsung Galaxy Buds on here. That really does help it tame the ear canal resonance. Actually, I forgot to mention this in my unscripted rambling reviews. I gotta say, I do love the ear tips that come with the MH1C. And of course the MH1. I love that. Oh, don't mind that pink stuff. That's some sweet and sour sauce for my lunch earlier. Yeah, I do love this like neon green aesthetic. This fucking Batman Forever Riddler aesthetic. It reminds me of like, I think they're called like the Lego Rock Raiders or something. And they would have like green energy cores on their like mechs or whatever. I don't know, I just remember this like, this neon lime green color on Lego. It's pretty nostalgic. But yeah, so you're gonna want this cable version. It's much better. It's got a little bead. This is the guy didn't make the cable, of course. This is made by one of those this Chinese IEM manufacturers. But it's a good cable. It does feel thick enough. Like if I tried to pull on it, it wouldn't like tear or anything. This is the 16-core version, which I think was $54. Yeah, you got the bead so it can pull up. It's just a much better cable. It's I think maybe like, I don't know, maybe like a foot longer, I think. I don't remember. And trust me, you're not going to want that friggin' like volume control thing, because the volume controls really don't work that well. In fact, on mine, the volume up button activates Google Assistant for some reason, so it can only make the volume go down. And of course, trying to reach behind your ear and do it is very awkward. Yeah, so there is one problem with this. I've only had these for about a week, I think, and you could already see this one is kind of crooked-ish. I don't know. I wonder if there's like something wrong with like the insides. It is very unfortunate. I don't want to give any bad like ratings to this dude, because he's doing a real service to the world, taking these old classic IEMs and selling them for with a little upgrade for not really. I think it's a good thing. And again, the in-ear monitor market is such a scam. You see this Sony WF-1000XM3, I think they're called. I mean, really long, convoluted name. And they're the true wireless ears. I've got the little, gross. I got the little tips on here too. And yeah, like I was able to actually get, using that whole 1-ear, 2-ear thing, I was able to get them EQ'd pretty reasonably close to each other. Unfortunately, you are limited to, like, I think only 5 bands on their software EQ. So that does mean, like, 400 hertz is a little too quiet, and I think it makes the upper treble either too loud, I think. I don't know, it's not precise science, but the point is, these originally retailed for, I think, $225. And I think even like, with, I don't even know, the discount you can get it, I think it's still like $160. But it's like $160 and it still needs EQ, because, like, yeah, the problem is there's like no upper treble above 10 kilohertz like these, so you're gonna have to boost the shit out of that region. And the bass is still a little too overbearing, even when you factor in how like overbearing the bass on these is. And there's no slider for like sub bass adjustment, so you gotta adjust that 400 hertz and hope it fixes it. But like I'm saying, like, why is it that the in-ear monitor market is just so corrupt, just so fucking corrupt, that it's like they can't produce anything as good as the Sony MH1? It's like, I read the designer of these actually has like a sort of a blog where he explains his design process. And of course, like all good products, what he did first was he took some loudspeakers, measured them in a good room, and then he used the curve of that to discover the response. And I gotta say, he did hit that response pretty close. The problem with the couplers on most measurement things is that it does show a resonance at the 8 kilohertz region, and that's not very realistic. For example, mine is at 6,800 hertz as opposed to 8,000 hertz. What that means is that on the measurement graph, it will be shifted up a little. So when you factor it in that way, it is gonna hit that target a lot closer. But it's like, again, this is something that people were buying for like $10 and like $15. It sounds better than anything else. I'm not even joking. Makes Etymotic sound like a joke. Makes Moondrop sound like a joke. Why is it that in-ear monitor manufacturers can't make anything as good as the Sony MH1? It just baffles me. There's really nothing special about it. I mean, and it's like Sony discontinued these like a million years ago because they figured, hey, we'll just make a new friggin' true wireless every few years. Oh, what's that? The battery dies within 18 months? Who cares? It'll just make them go out and buy another thing. Make this shit get thrown in the ocean to fucking pollute the oceans for the rest of our eternity. But no, the Sony MH1, the problem is I can't really tell you to buy it because, again, I mean, it's like you can't. It's tough to find these. Some of these sellers do sell them in bulk. I think I saw one you could get 10 for $70, which does average out to $7 per thing. You could just sell the rest, I guess, make a profit from that. I don't know. Or you could get a single one for 20 like I did. I basically just keep it as a backup in case something happens to these. If somebody does offer like a service where you can get them MMCX modded in the stateside, maybe I'll look into that. But yeah, I can't really recommend that you buy these just because they're so hard to find. They're discontinued. That's why I did give these a separate video. So what I gotta say is, what I did, there was somebody by the name of Rin Choi who did a whole like expose on the Sony MH1. This person did do like frequency response measurements, and what I did was I used WebPlot Digitizer to digitize those measurements, and I made a CSV file you can download in the description where you can hopefully try to use AutoEQ to try to AutoEQ your in-ear monitors to sound like these. I won't guarantee they will sound identical. You'll probably have to subtract the amount from like 8,000 hertz. Like if your thing is at 6,800 hertz, you probably have to subtract 1,200 hertz from most of the treble region. But aside from that, yeah, I really don't think you'll get much better for the money. And like, yeah, just either buy the Sony MH1 or look in the description, because I'm telling you, the whole in-ear monitor market is a scam. Technicalities, they don't exist. These sound just as good as the Moondrop Blessing 2, the HA-FDX1, and the whatever they're called, the Etymotic Research ER4, and they do sound just as good as the true wireless ones, except without any artifacts that would come from the Bluetooth connection. So it's like $20 or $50 with these. Might as well pull out the the original crappy, weird Frankenstein cable versions with the Lego Rock Raiders ear tips. Yeah, if you want good sound, if you want the best sound, I'm sorry about the little, yeah, these do get mushed up, I guess, from staying in the OEM packaging all these years. But yeah, if you want the best sound you can get from an in-ear monitor, take it from somebody who's tried like over $500 worth of shit. This is the best shit you will find